The birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. We are the Bohemian Reformation, and this is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network with producer Blake Tempest and co-host Dale Reber. I am Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jessup News for October 28, 2024. And yes, this is the Halloween show. Dale and I have dressed up. Our guests tonight will not be dressed up, so
I dressed as a real estate agent.
Blake didn't dress up.
No.
He came right from his work.
He just has a new job. He don't want to get fired right away for looking like Harpo Marx.
That's right. Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Pharaohs are kind sponsors of this podcast. Tonight we're going to interview Dawn Vogel about the EMS issue on the ballot. We talk about how close the presidential race is. We talk about Harpo Marx, no relation. We look at the Jessup News. We have Chet Reagan in for a few songs, and he talks about guitars for vets. And we look at upcoming shows and the weekly update of the Steve Brown Arts Center. We introduce a new member of the Steve Brown Arts Center, and Dale's got a few things in his blues pocket there that he wants to talk about. So we've got a lot for you, but we're going to start tonight with Supervisor Dawn Vogel, and she was kind enough to get a hold of me, and welcome, Dawn.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Dawn wants to talk a little bit about the EMS issue that is in Buchanan County this election stage, and so we told her we'd give her time, and take your time tonight, Dawn. We want to make sure that people know the facts about it.
Okay,
so Dawn, first let's introduce them to you a little bit. How long have you been a supervisor?
I've been a supervisor for 2 years.
Okay. What made you want to be a supervisor?
I thought that was the best way for me to be able to get some stuff done on this side of the county and some stuff done in my old hometown and that side of the county too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, neat.
What town did you grow up in?
Quasqueton.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
And do they say Quasqueton?
They say Quaski.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier.
Tell us about your family a little bit, Dawn.
My 4 cats.
There you go.
No, I do have 4 cats, and 2 of them that do like to go outside, and they help in the garden. And married to Mark, and my mom and dad live in Independence now. So they went from Quasqueton, and then they moved to Center Point when my nephews were young, and then they moved back to this area. So they moved back to Independence, and they live out there by Walmart.
Oh, neat.
And there's a lot of Vogels, isn't there, in this area?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's a very common city Jessup kind of name.
Yep.
So, though the first one I met was from Old Wine, but he grew up in Jessup, so.
Oh, probably Mark's uncle. Yes.
Yeah, John Vogel. Yeah, very nice man.
Well, Dawn, let's get right to the issue what you wanted to talk about. Tell us about the EMS issue a little bit and why you wanted to share with the folks tonight.
Okay. Yeah, because we do have that on the ballot, and people they're curious about it. There's been some misconceptions about how, are they going to be paying a for-profit, or are they going to pay, there are some people that are unhappy with AMR. I think AMR does a fine job. That's our current ambulance system.
What is AMR?
It's the ambulance system that is out of the Independence area. Unfortunately, they do a lot of transfers out of Independence Hospital, and so when they do transfers, then Jessup ends up, in a mutual aid situation. They call Jessup
covering their
to go into Independence. So that wears our volunteers out. They had 350 calls last year, so that's a lot for volunteers.
Yeah. Out in Jessup, they had 350 calls?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
And a lot of them was, covering for AMR when they were on transfers.
So how many ambulances does AMR have?
They have 2. Sometimes the second rig is not staffed.
Okay. And then do they work for other areas also? Like, is it a company that has some people in Independence and some people in Council Bluffs, or are they a widespread company? Or
they have 2 ambulance services in Iowa. One of them is in Floyd County, and then the one in Buchanan County.
Yeah, so then, are there other states that they're in? Or is it a?
I think they're in other states. Yeah,
Okay,
I think like they do a lot of big municipalities.
So it's a big business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Forgive me, we interrupted you there.
No, you're good. You're good. So we're trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do, knowing that this vote is coming up. And we got together with the mayors of the different cities and kind of hashed it through. It's like, well, if it passes, what's this going to look like? Only way that it makes sense is if I'm going to take tax dollars to pay a for-profit business that also bills for its services. That to me, that's like asking my citizens to pay twice over. So we decided that a better fit would be a county-ran ambulance service out of the Independence area. Jessup still keeps all of their stuff. Fairbank keeps their ambulance service because they have really good ambulance services. So you don't want to you want to support those. What we had come up with was funding that is from the Jessup area will come back to the Jessup area to further enhance their ambulance. And then the funding that would come from Fairbank goes back to the Fairbank area to further enhance that service.
Is that the way it is presently in Fairbank?
Fairbank runs theirs through the fire.
Oh, okay.
So like they run fire and ambulance together somehow. I'm not sure how that works.
But the city supports them.
Yeah, the city supports them.
Yeah, through the regular
Yes.
city property taxes.
Yes,
Yeah.
just like Jessup supports ours.
Sure.
So then we would have more money coming back to Jessup to support the funding. So that would be 70% of the funding. 7% of the funding is Fairbank, and then the rest of this funding would go to fund the Independence area ambulance service. And that ambulance coverage is huge. I don't know. It's the green area. So it's pretty large. At the meeting, it was determined that the best way forward is to do a county ambulance, and maybe to go ahead and put that out, because we had kind of thought that. We hadn't really made a decision as the board to do that yet, and this was just a workshop, so we didn't make a decision there. We did on the October 7th, we did then choose a mission and a goal. So our mission statement, or the vision statement, is the vision and goal of Buchanan County Supervisors is to create a county-operated ambulance service and EMS network focusing primarily on emergency response and 24/7 availability of emergency care while enhancing existing municipal ambulance EMR emergency services currently operating in the county. So we came up with that goal, and the people that are essential services people, they came up with some talking points about the levy highlights and what this funding will do for us. So the funding will get us better trained EMS personnel, no longer need to contract with a for-profit EMS service, and that's EMS is Emergency Medical Services. Sorry, we speak in acronyms.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not in the club, you have no idea what they're talking about.
Right. So yeah, Emergency Medical Services is EMS. Fast and reliable first response, fast and reliable ambulance responders. So what the funding would do is every community has an EMT. They have one or two. And so when the call goes out, then that person goes out first. And then the ambulance will come and meet them there. So that person might be there by themselves, trying to do CPR or do something like that. And so we want to make sure that they're trained and they're comfortable doing it. The funding will also increase EMS staff across the county, or at least that's one of the goals. Long-term EMS sustainability across the county, the ability of your tax money to benefit your local EMS service, provide better patient care across the county, better equipped EMS and local first responders, and the ability to train EMS personnel locally. So that's our highlights.
Okay. I've got a question, and my verbiage may not be right when I ask this. When tax money comes in, the property tax, there is a hierarchy. There's a list of money that goes to schools first on the list, and there's other things that the money
Right.
goes to. Would this be a preferred program or not?
Yes.
It would be.
Yes, it's actually ran through state code, I believe it's 422D, that came out a couple years ago, allowing counties to declare this as an essential service. So once we declare it as an essential service, then we can figure out how to use this funding mechanism to fund it. So it will come out like you see Hawkeye Community College on your tax bill. It'll be like that. It will say EMS service.
So let's say, and I'm just thinking as a taxpayer here. If they vote yes and it goes to you guys, it sounds like a great plan that you guys have.
Right.
The county would be covered. Let's say that it does pass, but Independence doesn't want it that way, or the people of Independence don't want it that way. How can we make sure that the county supervisors have control of this, Dawn, I guess?
The state code actually calls out the county supervisors have control of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it has to be set up in a trust fund. It can only be spent on emergency response, like your EMTs, your paramedics, the rigs, the ambulance services themselves, and whatever equipment they have on. And that all has to be accounted for.
So the people in Jessup, you understand the problem they're having with this?
Oh, I understand.
Because right now, it's budgeted $100,000 for the ambulance service, and the ambulance charges enough that they make $100,000 or more.
Right.
And so actually, they're paying, the people who use the ambulance are paying the whole bill for us to have ambulance service here in Jessup, right?
Right.
Okay, and this extra money from the levy would be, so they get $100,000, now there's another $167,000 a year. And I have talked to the EMS people, and they would really love to have this money for training and stipends and all this sort of thing, but that just seems like that's a lot of extra money to have when you're used to having $100,000 and getting along, and now you get $167,000 more on top of that. That just seems like that's a lot of money to try to spend. And so, has anybody addressed this to the supervisors, or I don't?
I have had conversations with a couple of the city council members and the mayor, and of course the ambulance director, with Kim. And so what that would do, what that would look like, or my vision of what it would look like, it would be like when the fire budget is presented, the townships are presented first, and then the townships have their side of it, and then Jessup City Council approves the city side of it. It would, in my vision, it would look a little bit like that, but you would also be able to, I know Jessup saving for a new ambulance at $20,000, it's not going to get you there.
No.
Yeah, $300,000 ambulance, yes.
A year, or?
Yeah.
$20,000, okay.
Yes, and so you could take another $20,000 out of this fund over here, and so then you would have $40,000 to get to, so you could have your, I think she has a 5 or a 10-year turnaround, I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
And, I think there's another piece of equipment they need, so, you can take those equipment out of this also.
So can they bank? I'm sorry. Can they bank this money then against the future? Like if they want to save $500,000, could they bank it with the supervisors until they had the $500,000 there, then buy the ambulance?
Yeah, it would have to stay in that emergency fund. But yes, you can. That's what that fund is set aside for. So you can save up for the future purchases.
Okay.
But there's no, Donna, to be clear and to make it clear for the listeners, there's no way, if they bank that money, there's no way that money can go other places. It's got to stay in there for the EMS.
Yes, it has to be spent on EMS, and it has to stay in that trust fund. It cannot go anywhere else.
Okay. You said you met with the mayors. How did you think Mayor Even felt about this? What did you get?
I think he was a little concerned, thinking it was too high for Jessup. Like we didn't need that amount of money. But I can't arbitrarily say, okay, so Jessup only wants to tax its citizens, say 12 cents, and the rest of the county is 75 cents. It has to be the same.
And I see, I can see both ways. I can see Chris's point, Mayor Even's point.
Right.
Do we punish, I don't know if punish is a good point. Do we take advantage of the Jessup? And you're a Jessup.
Right.
You live in Jessup. We all live in the Jessup. I live in the Perry Township, so Jessup ambulance would come to me. Do we tax the Jessup people for a mistake by the Independence folks is the problem that you guys face. I don't envy your position, Dawn.
Right, and I am not going to tell anybody, I think people need to vote their conscience or their mind on this. I would never tell them to vote for it or to vote against it. It's their personal decision.
Yeah.
See, and it didn't make economic sense to me as I first heard about this, but then talking with the ambulance people at one of these meetings, they seemed so positive that what a good thing it would be for the ambulance service in Jessup as far as training and keeping the team together and this sort of thing. And so it really then changed my thinking on the whole thing, where I'm a little bit more agreeable maybe.
Right.
But I was wondering, and I don't know anything about farmland and how it's taxed and this sort of thing, but if you're a big-time farmer, does this turn out to be a lot of money for you, this extra 75 cents? Or?
It could be. It
Yeah.
really could be. I know, so it's not... it's on your taxable valuation, not on your whole assessed valuation.
Yeah.
And I think Farm Grant has, they pay a different percentage. They pay 30% of the assessed value.
Yeah, I know, something like that, yeah.
And residential's pays
Like 53%, I think, is
Yes.
residential anymore.
Something like
I believe
that.
something like that, yeah.
Financially, then, if this were to pass, does the supervisor's plan pay the people that work on the ambulance, like if they're on call and everything?
Yes. That would pay for that Independence area, fund 2 ambulances and have the on-call people and fund the personnel. We'd be able to offer them county benefits and...
You're talking Jessup as well, not just Independence.
Now, Jessup would take its money and they would fund theirs how they choose to fund theirs.
But your plan wouldn't pay the people that are responsible on the ambulance then?
It would, if that's how.
If that's what they asked for, they'd have to ask for it,
They would
right?
have to ask for it, yes. Yeah, I mean, so that $160,000 can go for on-call pay. It can go for, time, if you have to go out on a call, I don't know, $25, $50. I don't know what what Kim's budget would look like because that's her call. But yeah, it could pay for that, most definitely.
But they'd have to say that's what we want our money to be used for.
Yes.
Okay. And this tax thing, I know taxes are always a year or so behind whatever is happening. When would this kick in that you would see this on your tax bill?
If it was voted in, it would hit on 2026.
Yeah, right away then. Like the
Okay.
halfway through, like the half?
Halfway through.
Yeah.
2026, about
Yeah.
a year and a half.
What does Kosky think about this? Winthrop hasn't been mentioned in all of this.
They've seemed very receptive to it.
What is their
mayor.
program? Do they have a?
They don't have a program.
They don't have. So ambulance has to go from Independence to Winthrop, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they would have a first responder that would run to, I think the way that it is now, their first responder goes to the fire department, picks up the gear, and then goes out to the call. And then the ambulance comes from Independence and meets them out there. So they get there first, they do what they can, and then your ambulance crew comes.
Is there anything, Dawn, that we didn't ask you that you want the people to know about this?
Yeah, I do know that it was brought up once, they thought that Emergency Management Agency could pay for the ambulance service, and that is not something that service can pay for. That's mandated by 29C, Chapter 29C. There's so much of stuff we do at the county level that is actually mandated by state code.
Yeah.
The boards and the commissions, and they are mandate who sits on them.
And see,
Our
we
hands are
had a
tied.
library levy here in Jessup, and then the legislature this last year said, no, that you don't have that anymore, even though the people had voted for it. And so this is one of those things that could go away also in the future if it doesn't work right, according to some people in the
Right.
legislature, right? I mean, it's a state thing, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so your next legislators in the state could say, oh, wait a minute, we don't want to do this, and then
Yeah. Yeah. That's always the scary part, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is. It absolutely is.
So all you're wanting people to do, as I understand it, is to vote, to get out and vote so you know for sure what the people want.
Exactly.
Because you're not advocating one way or the other, you said, but you'd like the people to get out and vote. And I think that's a wonderful idea, because
Yes.
it's always bad when something is voted in and like 20% of the population voted or
Yeah,
whatever, so.
I agree.
So, yeah, I agree. I hope that a lot of people do come out and vote.
Well, County Supervisor Dawn Vogel, thanks for coming in and sharing this with the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I just want to leave you with one thing. You asked me the other day what a county supervisor does, and I said, oh, we sit on different boards boards and commissions and kind of. So I did find we got certified. Like we are now. I'm now officially certified. I think certified would be insane, but certified. And a county supervisor's duty is to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and property of the county and its citizens, and to preserve and improve peace, safety, health, welfare, comfort, and convenience of its residents.
Okay.
That's very
what
good.
our job is.
Very good. Thank you.
Glad you
Thank
guys
you
all
so
keep that
much.
in mind as you make your decisions. Also. So that's great. Okay. All right. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. And,
Whoa!
and we are.
This
from
is my heart breaking right over.
We are at CoWIC 591 Studios. Before we get too much farther, Dale's got some news for us.
All right, well, we got to keep the record straight, or a couple calls about things we've had on the podcast recently.
Okay.
One was your conspiracy theory about the Democrats not supporting Harris, waiting for somebody better in 2028, and about the Obamas and whatever not going out on the trail. Well, on the campaign trail. So I got this one. You can show Gillespie. She got a picture of Gillespie. Obama. You can show Gillespie. Obama is out there. He's not coming to Iowa because they're focusing on the swing states, but he's been here in Michigan, and so that gives you a clue for who we're talking about.
There you go.
Also, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada. Bill Clinton recently campaigning in Georgia, North Carolina. She has little clips that she sent.
Yeah.
And then today, Michelle Obama coming to Michigan on Saturday. So she wanted you to know that they're out there, and she didn't think you should be promoting these conspiracy theories
Very good.
that
Very
we have
good.
talked about again. Okay.
Well, and- and I appreciate first off, thank you to the listeners. And I would gladly take repercussions from our loyal listeners, because they are loyal listeners.
Yes.
They are the people that support us.
Okay. And then I got another thing about your Spotify.
Okay.
This guy, he said, Spotify is notorious for paying nothing for music. And that's why these people are having to go out on concert, because they're making nothing from selling their music.
Yeah.
So he looked it up, and Spotify gives the artist 0.03 of a cent. Not a third of a cent, but 0.03
3,000.
of a cent per stream. And so 1,000 plays would net the artist 3 cents.
Wow.
Yeah. So he thought maybe somehow or other you had mixed up your fraction or whatever. But he looked at it for 2024. It was 0.03 of a cent per play, because he says Spotify hates pay. They pay practically nothing.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah.
You're right.
And so for every 1,000 plays, it'd be 3 cents to the artist. And so
It'd be interesting to know his or the listeners' source. My source was Pablo Torre, on the DraftKings network. It'd be interesting to know your source's
I think he
network.
looked up Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Just what he looked up.
Right.
But,
Right.
Okay. You probably realized both these people were related to me.
That's
You can figure out who
good.
they are.
Oh, that's good.
But they are dedicated listeners, and they wanted. And if anything we ever say wrong, we've always said we want to straighten it out.
That's
And
exactly right.
So we can do more research into that if you'd like, and just to see. But
Yes,
these are two
yes.
people that not caught you, but they noticed something that they thought was inaccurate, and so they wanted you to set the record straight. And so that's what we're doing. So.
And our loyal listener from Michigan, I would agree. Recently, the last 2-3 weeks, the Obamas and Clinton has been out for Harris. But if you look back in September, they were nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
We're saving it for the Saco finish, see. So
well, and that's good. We're down to less than 8 days now to
a week from tomorrow. Monday, a week from
yep,
tomorrow,
a
we'll
week
vote.
from
So-
tomorrow we'll
and-
vote.
and be glad to have it done. I think a lot of people will. So.
Yeah, the if you look at the states that have early votings, there's been a lot of people out. I was at a mall down in Cedar Rapids. I just don't know malls to tell you which one it was, but they had curbside voting for people that are handicapped or couldn't get out of the car.
Sure.
Which is neat.
I think that's
we
only
have
right.
that.
Everybody should get to vote.
Yes.
It used to be polling places where in schools where you had to climb stairs and this sort of thing, and there was no accommodations at all for anybody that couldn't climb the stairs.
Right.
And so in the last 20 years, American Disabilities Act probably really changed all of that. Because I know a lot of had to, and that's when our church became a polling place because we're flat. We're have easy access, and so for anybody, if you're in a wheelchair or using a walker or whatever, there are no steps or anything, and so. That's what they were looking for. I had to, they had criticisms for me also, like they say I constantly am pounding on the table when I'm talking or clicking my pen or something, and it's coming through. So I'm trying to do better with that also. So, I thought, man alive, this is, they're eating us to death.
No, I tell you, the more we have from the listeners, the more attacks we have from the listeners, the happier I am. When the students would get after me, I knew they were listening.
Yeah.
So.
And it's amazing to me that two people, my wife has been out and about, and both, they mentioned something about the podcast, and they were not people that I would normally assume would be listening to our podcast, you know? So I thought, well, that's kind of nice. Maybe there's more out there than we think, but I thought that was real nice, and so.
Well, and speaking of our listeners, with last week's guest, we had our CAPS representative, Macy Mastiller, and we had as many plays the first 2 days that the podcast was out as we normally have for a whole week.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Plus, I was looking at the demographics, and the demographics from 0 to 30 were up as well.
Yeah.
So
you think she had a lot of friends that listened?
Well,
and there's tons of Mastillers out there too. So that always helps. So
yes.
We should have a Youngblood or a Weber on every week.
We could do that. So we are a week away, basically, from the official election.
Right.
Dale, what's your thought right now?
Well, there was a poll in the paper today. It was 46% Harris and 43% Trump, which is too close to call.
Is that in Iowa, or is that?
That's national. Nationally.
Okay.
And but it just depends when they take the polls and who they ask. And so it looks to me like it's pretty much like a dead heat. And I didn't realize there's a movement by. Some states, it's on their ballot or it's in their legislature to not abide by the Electoral College, but that they will get together and agree that whoever wins the popular vote in their state gets all the electoral votes.
The electoral votes, okay.
And they got 17 of them that they're looking at. If they'd all get together, would be over 200. 200
electoral votes.
Yeah, on the line just with those states.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it takes 270, I believe, to win. And so, because they are, like Trump was a minority president and Bush was a minority president.
Bill Clinton was a minority president.
Yeah. And so it hits both sides, and people. The purpose of the Electoral College, I understand, is that the big, high-populated states don't have the say that they got enough people to vote that it doesn't matter what in the Midwest or the West we would think, and now everybody has to be involved. But a lot of people in those states are getting tired of having 5 states determine. Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, that group, who's going to win the election.
Do you think Trump is going to win Iowa? Is he going to win electoral votes in Iowa?
If you had to bet, you would bet that way.
What is there, six electoral votes in Iowa?
I don't know anymore, but it's how many congressmen we have, congresspeople. But if you were going to bet, that's what you bet, because Iowa has been Republican, heavy Republican for several years now.
Yes.
So, but you don't know. You don't know till people get in there, and the guy keeps doing strange things. And so, did you hear about the Arnold Palmer thing? Or
I did. Rather unique.
Yeah.
I'm sure people thought we were unique when we talked about Mr. Farley last week.
Yeah. The two kind of go together, I guess. It was. I was going to write up a whole paper on that. I thought, I don't know if we're ready in this world for my discussion of penises or not, but. Okay.
I listen to extreme left and extreme right wing podcasts a lot. I drive probably a total of 20 hours a week, and so I have a lot of time to listen to podcasts, and I'm a political junkie, and I listen to those people. And the left, makes up as much about Trump as the right does about Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they talked about how the other day Trump walked around on stage for 20 or 30 minutes without saying anything, that he had problems with the equivalent of Alzheimer's. Well,
Oh, okay.
Well, the problem was that his microphone wasn't working. So, he didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
He was on the stage and he was talking to people. I watched him talk to people. They attacked him as losing it mentally. So it disappoints me a little bit that some people from the left lie as much as some people from the right. I listen to the right, and Hannity is on, and Mark Levine. We talked about that last week, and Hannity claims that Trump is going to win the general election.
Oh, the popular vote.
The popular vote, he claims.
Yeah.
It's all about the poll, and there's no way. I got a text. Here you go. I got a text. I have no idea who's texting me this, but this is a text we received here. We asked 6 times if you support Vice President Harris, but you still didn't complete the poll. And I texted them back one time. I said, you're going to run people away from Vice President Harris if you keep being silly like that.
Yeah.
Leave people alone.
Yeah.
Polls don't mean anything anymore. I don't believe it. I don't believe any polls.
Any of it. Because you say, okay, I would never say Trump is a good guy. Well, you cut out the I would never say, here's Joe saying Trump is a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and same thing with the other side, too. It just, you can't believe any of it. And
no.
You can. It just, it's too bad because they're spending, billions of dollars or more than $1 billion putting all this stuff out. And you might as well just say, it's all garbage, so why are we doing it? Why are you spending all that money?
Hannity was talking about, and I think I mentioned this, that Trump is going to win the general election. Mm-hmm. And the argument of polls came up. I really believe that turnout is key. And President Biden back in 20 did an incredible job of getting, he had 81 million votes. Mm-hmm. And he won 81 million to something like 74 million.
I don't recall.
Which is, you think about that, that's 156 million people. Mm-hmm. I don't see that number getting out. The Republicans have tried real hard the last 4 years to slow the election down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that will be a benefit or not. I have a question for you, Dale.
Yes, sir.
Am I an odd cat, or am I a strange bird?
Well, look at you now. I'd say you're a strange bird.
I feel like I'm a fish out of water.
A fish out of water.
Yes.
That wasn't one of the choices you gave me, though. So that was terrible.
All right. Well, we have tonight with us Chet Reagan in for a few songs, and he is going to premiere our show's theme song, Little Victory by Chris Knight. So we'll be right back with Chet Reagan.
This is about a guy who doesn't come back from the war, and salute to all of our veterans. I used to hang out down at the local VFW hall. Lord, I was staring at a photograph up on the wall of all the boys in the neighborhood who died back in World War II. And the hand-lettered side said, remember our Jimmy McGrew. Well, Jimmy went away back in 1965. There's a lot of men here that think Jimmy McGrew's still alive. They carved his name on the stone down in Washington, D.C. But his brother says that stone don't mean a damn thing to me. It's Veterans Day, and the skies are gray. Leave your uniforms home, boy, there ain't gonna be a parade. But we'll fill up a glass for the ones who didn't make it through. Yeah. Hey, leave a light in the window tonight for Jimmy McGrew. Oh, there's a hot rain falling on the back streets of Saigon. And there's a white man running down the alley with his mama's song. But Lord, his eyes are cloudy and his arms are black and blue. And he's hanging by a thread, and he looks like our Jimmy McGrew. It's Veterans Day, and the skies are gray. Leave your uniforms home, boy, there ain't gonna be a parade. But we'll fill up the glass for the ones who didn't make it through. Yeah. Hey, leave a light in the window tonight for Jimmy McGrew. Yeah, leave a light in the window tonight for Jimmy McGrew. Veterans Day by Tom Russell.
Chet, you said you wanted to talk about guitars for vets a little bit.
That's correct. I have to give credit. I was not very musical, and I was originally playing when I got into my music. I don't want to call it career, but my hobby. I did it on a dare for my kids because I found a toy ukulele in my daughter's room, and I told them, I said, I'm going to play this, and people are going to come see me play this, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And so I took the toy ukulele and started practicing, and it wasn't meeting what I wanted, so I ordered a fancier one off Amazon for $129. My son had access to my account, and he saw what I had purchased. He said, Dad, what are you doing? You're not gonna learn how to play that. You're gonna play it for about 2 weeks, and you're gonna set it aside, and you're just throwing money away. Well, the gauntlet was dropped at that point in time. Fast forward probably about 6 months, 7 months, maybe even 8 or 9, and I was playing at the farmer's market in Olwine, where people were coming to see me play. So I proved him wrong with that idea. And then COVID hit, and I was watching or listening to a podcast by the lead singer of a heavy metal band called Godsmack, and he was talking to the organizer for a nonprofit organization called Guitars for Vets, where veterans could sign up for 10 lessons, and if they complete 10 free lessons, they get a free guitar. So they're based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I did that. It would have been COVID 2020 when they really locked us down hard. It would have been in September 2020, so I started my 4-year anniversary in September of learning to play guitar. And Jack, a teacher from Des Moines, we still meet or talk every week. He's 77 or 78 years old, and his teaching has developed into a friendship, lifelong friendship. Came to my wedding, and he's just a stand-up guy, and anytime that we go to Des Moines, we look to get together with Jack and his family and either play guitar or have dinner. Our families will have dinner together or something like that. So yeah, he's a pretty good guy. And I ended up teaching basic guitar for Guitars for Vets, the virtual program, to a couple students, and not much time now, but that's kind of a way that I give back. Yeah, so I firmly believe in Guitars for Vets, so any veterans out there who might be going through something or needing some music therapy or something like that, go to guitarsforvets.org and get signed up. We don't have a chapter in our area, but there's a virtual chapter that they can take care of you.
Yeah, what a neat program. Yeah. You've got a couple more songs for us, Chet.
I do.
So, and I know Dale has one that he wants as well.
Should we get that one done?
Let's do that. Let's do that one.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River.
Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
All my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water.
Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country
Do
road.
it, Dale. Here we go.
I hear her voice in the morning hour, she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away.
And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday.
Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads,
Folks at home, sing along.
country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Down country roads,
Take me home.
down country roads.
I could hear him singing out in the other room as well. Thank you for letting us do that, Chet. We've been talking about singing together for a while. 2 more songs, correct? And one is the theme song for the show. We'll do that last, if that's all right.
That'd be great.
And what do you got for us next?
This is a song by a guy by the name of Larry Fleet. Larry Fleet is going to be he's a country singer. He's going to be coming to the Surf Ballroom in Mason City, Iowa in February. So if you're interested, you appreciate this song, and maybe buy a $25 ticket to go see some great music happening right in Iowa at the historic Surf Ballroom, where, I don't know if you know, that could probably be a whole show too, talking about where the music supposedly died or where it lives. And that's the last performance place of the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and of course Buddy Holly. So they died in a plane crash after performing there just north of Clear Lake. Night I hit rock bottom, sitting on an old bar stool. He paid my tab and put me in a cab, but he didn't have to. He could see I was hurting. Oh, I wish I'd got his name. It didn't feel worth saving, but he saved me just the same. A day out on the water, and the fish just wouldn't bite. I put my pole down and floated around it was just so quiet. I could hear my old man saying, son, just be still. You can't find peace like this in a bottle or a pill. From a bar stool to a living room, Sunday morning in a church pew, in a deer stand or a hayfield, interstate back to Nashville, a Chevrolet with the windows down, me and him just riding around sometimes. Whether I'm looking for him or not, that's where I find God. Sometimes late at night, I lie there and listen to the sound of her heart beating and the songs that crickets are singing. I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds like a hymn to me. And oh, I ain't too good at praying. Oh, but thanks for everything. From a bar stool to a living room, Sunday morning in the church pew, to the deer stand or a hayfield, interstate back to Nashville, a Chevrolet with the windows down, me and him just riding around sometime. Whether I'm looking for him or not, that's where I find God. From a bar stool to an living room, Sunday morning in a church pew, in a deer stand or a hayfield, interstate back to Nashville, Chevrolet with the windows down, me and him just riding around talking. Well, I do that a lot. I do that a lot. That's where I find God.
Yeah, I really enjoy that song. He's in out of Clear Lake in February. You don't know the date. We'll have to look up that date and let the listeners know. That's such a neat song. How long have you been playing that song, Chet?
This is the second time publicly.
I love that. Sort of like the next one.
Hope it didn't show.
It was wonderful. Sort of like the next one. I pushed it. I pushed it towards you. I've been pushing it towards you for a while, Chet, and we end the show with try to have little victories every week, and it's from a song by Chris Knight. You were kind enough to finally say uncle and try to put it in your repertoire. So I've been looking forward to you coming on and doing this. So the final song of the evening is Little Victories by Chris Knight.
Got it 125 running, back roads to the store. About 35 degrees, but it sure feels good not to be walking no more. I got some milk and bread and bologna, some Little Debbie's and some Mountain Dew. Sometimes when I ain't got the groceries, gonna see what this thing will do. Little victories, they all right with me. These days, that's all I need. I got a F-250 4x4, it's needing a new rear end. I sold some hides and I sold some wood, saving up to get it going again. Then I can start hauling these timbers, sell them down at the mine. I hear they're bringing a few bucks a piece. Things are looking better all the time. Little victories, they're alright with me. These days, that's all I need. Country's going through hard times. I ain't feeling it none. But I'll try to make it through one more day when it's all said and done. I got a deer, a half in the freezer. I got wheels and plenty of wood. No, I ain't setting the world on fire, but I think I got pretty good. Little victories, they're alright with me. These days, that's all I need. Little victories, they're alright with me. These days, that's all I need.
Wonderful. If you would like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. We had a couple ideas born tonight. Thanks to Dawn Vogel and Chet Reagan for coming in tonight and being with us. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@SteveBrownArtsCenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. This show will be our 100th show.
Right. What day is that?
That will be the 30th of
Very good.
of October.
Yeah, all right.
And we will have a number of guests that will be live on YouTube. And if you get a chance, stop in to Cowork 591 and say hi. We might even get you on the air that night. If you'd like to argue with Dale, I'll even give you my seat.
Well, see there? Causing me trouble. Okay.
I'm Jim Glaspie with Dale Reber and producer Blake Tempest. As always, thanks to Kelly Seahouse, if she's out there and she hears us. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day. And remember, and it's more important than ever as you hear the song tonight, each day is about little victories.